Some people have asked me to make a video explaining how the dispatch circuit for my train system works in Factorio, so here's a tour of that. First let me get myself to a train lot. This lot on the left over here is dedicated to copper ore trains. Only copper ore trains have these stops in their route. If we take a look at a copper ore train here, its route goes from parking, which is here. You can see all of these parking stops have the same stop name. Oh, there goes a delivery. So they go from a parking spot to any pickup spot. I have several copper mines and all of them have this same stop name. And then they return to this parking lot to any available spot, and then they go to any drop-off spot. Seems pretty straightforward. The complex part of this comes in when you have multiple trains delivering to multiple delivery stations and picking up from multiple mines. So we have this circuit here to control that. At the bottom here we have a dorky inserter clock. I know there are better ways to make a clock, but I like watching this one tick, so deal with it. We'll get to what this clock does in a second. The important brains of the operation is this square up here. This is a state machine that tracks the current state of our fleet of trains. The four corners from the top up here are empty, fetching, full, and delivering. You'll notice that full is represented by the letter W for waiting, because I was half asleep when I made this. So this state machine takes input from all of these stops. The stops read whether the train is empty or waiting based on whether there's copper ore in it. And based on the number of empty and full trains, we can detect when a train arrives or departs. You can see right now we have 7 full trains and 1 fetching train. When a full train arrives, we'll know that it's that fetching train which has fetched what it was going to fetch, returning. And so, here it comes. We'll move an iron plate from the fetching chest into the full chest. It looks like currently there is no copper demand, so the full train is sitting there waiting for a demand station to ask for copper. There it goes. A good opportunity to take a look at the network here. This pole is our connection to the supply and demand network. Red signals are for demand, and green signals are for supply. You see here that we have 1 demand for copper ore, which is why a train just left to go make a delivery. And then we have 2 copper supply. We have 2 mines that have enough ore on hand to fill an entire train. So those 2 signals are processed here, and we change them into 2 variables, N and S for need and supply. These 2 variables are compared to the state machine's record of how many trains are delivering or fetching. So supply minus fetching. If there is more supply than there are trains fetching, then we want to send another train to fetch. Likewise, if there is more need than there are trains delivering, we want to send a full train to deliver. So that fetch and deliver signal is sent through here, and this is where the clock comes in. Every time the clock ticks, if we want to send more trains, whether they be empty or full, when that tick happens, the dispatch signal is sent down the line, and for fetching, the first empty train will be sent, and for delivering, the first full train will be sent. And the clock is there so that we have enough delay for the train to actually leave the station, because if we just allow the signal to go instantaneously, every full train or every empty train will depart simultaneously, which is unpleasant. So just to recap, we have a state machine that tracks how many trains are empty, full, waiting, is what we call it in the system actually. So empty, waiting, fetching, or delivering. And then we have this clock that ticks, and we compare supply and demand with the trains on hand and the trains en route. And we send a dispatch signal to tell the first empty or full train to go to its destination. So I know there's going to be some more demand here in a second. I'm going to sit in this train and we'll follow its route. So this station is at the top of the main bus of my Bootstrap starter base. You see we have drones that unload the ore from the train into chests, and then from the chests onto this belt. The belt goes right into a pretty fast smelting array, which just feeds copper plates into the bus. And I probably just lost my ride. As you can see, the train automatically departs once it's empty. I'll get a ride somewhere else. While I'm waiting for transportation, let's take a look at this demand station. For a demand station, we have spots for 4 cars, and each has a little bit of circuitry going on here, and an indicator that's either red or green. Green indicates that all of the chests for this car are empty, meaning that it's ready to unload a full car. When 4 cars worth are empty, these are all broadcasting R for ready. And also when the storage here goes below a certain threshold, this will also broadcast R for ready when it's below that threshold. When R equals 5, we enable the station and broadcast 1 copper ore on the red network, which is for demand. So when R equals 5, meaning we can unload 4 cars and the stock is below the threshold, then we enable the station and dispatch a signal saying that we need copper ore. I'll head back to the parking lot real quick and we'll take a look at one of the mines that gives copper ore supply. So we see the top train up here has left its spot, and this blue light tells me that it's making a delivery. Oh, here it comes again. So it is empty now, and we're going to follow it to see where it goes to pick up its fresh ore from. The network looks like it says that there are 2 stations, but this is the closest one. So we have a similar system here with a green indicator saying that these chests have enough ore to fill a train rather than to empty it. So when all of these are ready to fill an entire train, then the station is ready for pickup. There's no storage threshold condition for a mine because it just keeps mining forever. So when R equals 4, we enable the station, and we broadcast 1 copper ore on the green network to represent supply. A quick recap of the state machine. So we have empty and full in the corners here. We have 7 full trains. When a full train leaves, when the number of full trains decreases, we assume that one has left to go make a delivery. And so we move an iron plate into the delivering chest. When an empty train returns, we know that that's the one that went to go make a delivery. There's no other reason why an empty train would come back to the parking lot. And so we'll move that delivering plate into the empty state. Let's see when it comes back. Likewise, since there is some supply, the empty train will immediately be dispatched, and so when the number of empty trains decreases, the state machine will move a plate into the fetching chest. And here comes our empty train. We move from delivering to empty to fetching just like that. That was 3 ticks. Actually, no, that was only 1 tick. It only takes 1 tick for that to happen. You can see on the map that I have parking lots for copper ore, copper plates, iron ore, iron plates. Up here we've got similar lots for, my radar is not full coverage here. Similar lots for petrol and for oil parking. There's a similar system for oil wells and for the refinery. And these all make deliveries to multiple demand stations and pick up from multiple supply stations. And that's how my train dispatch system works.